Hey, hello again this evening. This is a live VR to Ben the Bagpiper for his 200 some plus gall. And first of all, I'd just like to say thank you, Ben, for this opportunity. And I like watching your videos, even though there's a lot of people I've watched a lot that here and lately I've not watched much of because on account of current circumstances and everything. And then I've been busy keeping folks updated, just like I done earlier. You wanted to know and see either something that we have modified or something that we have modified on ourselves. Um, I'm gonna try to do just a hair bit of both. Um, now, hope y'all don't mind the mess, but I'm gonna pan over to my television stand and what I'm using for a television stand, as which I'm pretty sure this is a common modification, but it's the only object here in the recent, other than that I can think of that I have really modified or modified the use of. But that's just one out of something I'm going to show. If you look over there and see what I'm using for a television stand, that originally is not a television stand, but in fact a microwave stand. Now I'm pretty sure that is a common thing that people modify, and there really ain't much to modify in it other than putting the appliances on it. But that's one object that I modified the use of. Um, and also too, I've took and modified also different uses of hair and beauty products, but that probably don't really count. But it all stems back from when you kind of grow up kind of poor like and you ain't got enough money for this or enough money for that. You make do with what it is that you have. Like like this here used shoestring. It's a little weathered and tattered now, but I modified it to be used to hold open a door. That's why it kind of looks tattered fighting against the wind. But I also know that probably is not in the same category, but I guess more or less I just showed you something that's kind of creative. But here's something that I know for a fact is considered to be a couple of body modifications. You probably can't see it on account of my beard and everything, but I got some piercings here, and each one of these piercings have a story. And also, I wear a plug and everything, but it's only a double zero. But the the piercing that has the plug in it originally was a normal piercing. Of course, everybody knows that. But story behind that first piercing, I up and got my ear pierced when I was probably somewhere between 13 and 15. And I just wanted to know what it was like to be pierced. And I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm a baby when it comes to piercing. Seriously. I like getting pierced, but I'm a baby about it. So go ahead and laugh. But, because I laugh at myself, to be honest with you. But, anyways, I was dating a woman, a high school girl, whenever I was in high school. And she had said to me that she would not date a guy with an earring. And she wasn't having it. And then she said it was either her or the earring. Well, naturally, being the type of guy that I am and was, to a certain degree that I'm glad I'm not like now, I up and took the earring out. And did you know, a week after I done that, she broke it off with me. So guess what I done gone and did? I talked to my sister, who had strange hobbies and likes, and she still does to a certain degree, but then again, so do I. But, she has a fetish with piercing. She always has. And, I don't even want to imagine the things she's tried to pierce, to be honest with you. But I went to her and she knew I was upset and everything. And I said, you know, it's pretty sad. I said, because at the time our mom paid, I think, $14 or whatever to get my ear pierced. And I felt so bad. And mom said she wasn't going to take me to pay for me to get it done again. So my sister pops up and says, I can do it for you. She goes, if you don't mind it being unprofessional and probably more pain. And I was so heartbroken over the breakup and upset. I was like, go ahead. Well, my sister, and she done it in front of my mom. And I'm all nervous. And truth be known, I was smoking a cigarette, because I was nervous. My sister takes a couple pieces of ice, the old routine, put it in between, put my ear between two pieces of ice. I think I held it there. I'm going to say probably longer than what you should, I think, but I probably held it there for about 20 minutes because she knew how it'd be. Well, next thing I know, she takes a half cut potato. Yes, she took a half cut potato, folks, and stuck it behind my ear. Took a sewing needle. That was a big sewing needle. And she put some rubbing alcohol on it. And then she put a little bit of some KY, not KY, but like a little Vaseline. I said, what's that for? She goes, trust me. She goes, you're going to want this. And she stuck it right where the original piercing was. Popped that right through. And I'm going to tell you something. When I could also hear that popping through the ear itself, that scared the bejesus out of me. More than the piercing did that hurt. And she left it there and kind of twizzled it around. She goes, this is going to hurt. And then then she took the thing out and the needle out. And then she shoved not a pointy back, but a flat-backed stud in my ear. That hurt like bejesus. And all of a sudden, she puts the back on there and she said, now you're pierced. She goes, I could have saved you all that money to begin with. But ever since then, it's been pierced. And also, my sister is the one that had done these piercings too. And the sad thing is every time I've went through something major tragic, I've put an earring in my ear. So each one of these piercings that are in here kind of represent something that, some kind of sad thing. And so, I mean, it's not a sad thing as in, boo-hoo and why would you want to remember that, but kind of like for the same reasons why when you get really hurt, it leaves an emotional scar. Well, that there is a representation of the emotional scar. Now, as you can see, I'm got some tats on me and everything, but one set of particular tats that I'm going to share with you about on body modification is the one that's on this arm here. And I'm going to show you first the very first professional tattoo I've ever been given, and it was done by one of my bestest friends who at one point in time was a tattoo artist. I wish he still was to this day, but he's not because he has a shaky hand. And he said as long as he had a shaky hand, he probably was never going to do it again. Even though sometimes I almost talk him into doing things like that. Because I was like, if I buy the equipment, man, come on now. But I'll show you an up close better thing for this tat. It's kind of hard to see this, but you see the cross there? Give you a better view of that cross. Just that cross alone right there. It was a cover-up of something that I'd done myself. That's right, I tried to tat myself. And if you ain't got the experience, folks, don't be tatting yourself. It's just stupid. But, anyways, I was going through some major depression and a lot of issues at this point in time when that tat was, before that tat was put there. And when I say major depression, I mean I think I was on the verge of maybe being locked up in a mental institution if the truth was to be known, because on account of such a tragedy that it was. And my buddy was going through his apprenticeship and everything, and his teacher, the head guy over the tattoo shop he was apprenticing at, told him to find at least one or two people that would be up for a freebie, but only one time. And so he up and gave me a call, and he said, "You're the first on my list, bro." He said, "Would you like to get tatted?" And he said, "I know you wanted to get that one thing covered up." He said, "If you want it, come and get it." So I said, "Okay, man, cool." Well, I was nervous because, for one, I'm scared of needles. I am petrified of needles, and I was scared. That's the fact of the truth. And, anyways, I sat in the chair, and he, done all the stuff that they do before they tat you. They shaved the area, washed the area, sanitized it, whatever they do, with that green soap. And before too long, he put the stencil on. He let it sit there. Well, I turned my head for a second, and I heard that sound, of the machine. And before I knew it, the first line was already made. And with all that depression that I had felt and everything, the minute that first line was made, I don't know why, but it's like I felt a release. A release of grief, a release of sadness. And the more that the tattoo was being applied, it's like I found a new lease on life. And everything. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing, to be in a depressed state of mind and decide to go get a tattoo, but for me, it acted as if it was medicine, medicine for the heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, I'll show you the rest of the ensemble of this tattoo that you probably already seen to a certain degree, and when I show you everything about my lower sleeve here, or part of my lower sleeve, I'll tell you the entire combination of story behind it all, but that cross I just wanted to feature a little bit more. So here you go. Got that. Got my broken ribcage heart. Got my roses all around my cross. And for anybody who knows anything about anything poetic at all, you know where that stems from right there. The skull with the candle at the top of his head. And also a bracelet that will never tarnish or break on me. And vines running around that. Well, here's the story behind those particular sets of tattoos. Y'all ready for a sermon? If not, I don't care, you're getting it anyways. Alright. This tells a story. Okay? Story is, anybody that's been to church or has anything to do with church, you know that there is one of the many symbols of salvation through Jesus Christ, and also a symbol of God's sacrifice for the world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, for those who believeth on him shall not perish but have everlasting life. But there's also something else. Every man has 3 appointments. You have an appointment to be born, an appointment to die, and then an appointment to meet judgment. And through Christ you can have life. But if you take away the promise of death, you cannot have the promise of life, for the promise of death is also life through Christ. Now, the skull also represents poetic as well as my weird side. And also through Christ, not only do you have life, but if you believe in Jesus Christ and you're a Christian, you also know that Christ, through Christ, all things are possible. And so, through Christ, you have life that grows. And Christ grows within you, and you grow in Christ. And also, along with that, the Lord, Jesus said to the disciples, if you love your mother or your brother or your father, then you cannot follow me. Now, a lot of people was like, well, wait a minute, is he saying hate your mother or father? No, he was talking about the sacrifice of spreading the gospel. He was talking about how you will be hated for following Jesus Christ. And Christ said, blessed are those who die in my name, or blessed are those who die for my name's sake. And so each one of these crosses are inside this bracelet represents the people that have picked up the cross and have bared their cross and have either died for Christ's sake or are still out there in the world spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ to many people. And those crosses represent those prayer warriors that pray daily for all those people out there in the world. And also, you notice on the very bottom, towards my hand, you'll see a single ring of thorns. That is to represent the crown that Christ was given on the cross, the crown of thorns that he wore when he was going through the ultimate sacrifice, when he was taking upon the sins of the world to save the souls of the lost, to help mend the weak. And also the top one that's attached to the roses, if you notice, all that grows together, right? And roses grow sometimes on a vine, sometimes or on a long thing of thorns. You know, life ain't always smooth. Life has edges and jaggeds in it, and sometimes we get stuck and we're like, oh, well, ouch, that hurts, we shouldn't do it again. Lessons are like this in life. But also, too, the Apostle Paul, who was my favorite apostle in the Bible, also said that he had a thorn in his side that kept him humble. So those thorns also on that top ring there, thorns, represent the fact that sometimes we are reminded that when we're stuck by the thorns of life, it's a reminder that we need to be humble and learn how to be humble. Now, everybody's heard the sermon about the potter's field, I'm pretty sure. And sometimes, a potter is going to be making a pot, and sometimes that pot ends up not turning out right, or it ends up having some kind of flaw to it, and so the potter will crumble it all back down and start over again. Well, sometimes, and I don't care who you are in the world, we all get built up, and we all sometimes get broken down. Now, everybody that's ever been through the military will understand this, or anybody that's ever, understands the point of views of the Christian belief and about the sermon about the potter's field. But this heart represents not only, if you look in this whole entire outline of this heart, you'll notice it don't break at all. There is not a broken line. It's all one solid line. Even where it looks like it's cracked, it's still connected right there. See? That represents love, an ongoing circle of love. Love never dies, and neither does the love that God has for all of his creation. Even the ones that he'll punish. Because if you love somebody enough, you love them enough to correct them. Anybody that's a parent knows this and has this mentality. At the same time, you notice this heart on the inside, it's a rib cage. And if you notice in this rib cage, there's even a rib missing. Why is there a rib missing? Because it says in the Bible, God took a rib from Adam to make Eve. So, that represents the creation of woman. It honors woman. And as well as also you notice how inside bits and pieces look like it's been broken down and destroyed, and parts look like it's been rebuilt. Well, that's because that once in a while we all get built up and we all get broken down at some point in time, and we all get rebuilt back to become whole again and renewed again, and either by the things that happen to us in life, or either by the things that we've experienced in life, whether it be heartache, tragedy, something that terrifies us, whatever that case may be. We all get broke down, we all get built back up again. But the thing of it is when God builds us back up, nobody can knock us down, because then we become an indestructible force by the grace of God. Well, Ben the Bagpiper, I hope this VR is what you are looking for. I hope it is acceptable for your GAW. And congratulations on the 200 plus subs. And I just hope and pray that your channel keeps growing and growing and growing. And I love your stuff. And even though, given certain circumstances been going on, I ain't been watching a whole lot of things, but I am glad that I took the time to check you out during all the stuff that I've been going through and everything. And I think it's really cool that you've cured some of your own tobacco and everything. I think it'd be really cool to try some, especially if you ever decide to make some straight on Cavendish. That'd be pretty cool to try. But anyways, um I thank you for that opportunity. And also, um I had a few shout outs I was going to give, but I can't remember nobody's name. And I hate that, because I had them on the tip of my tongue and I probably should have wrote them down. There's a few channels out there that I like watching that I give a shout out to that's on the top of my head. There's Max Wolf. That channel's pretty cool. Pipe and Beans. That guy, he could use some subs too. And oh, I can't think of anybody else. But I just wanted to give those folks a shout out. And there's quite a few others I want to give a shout out, but I can't remember who they is now. And I apologize for that. But anyways, congratulations on your 200 some plus GAW. Thank you. And wherever you're at in this world, may you be blessed. Till next time.